It is great to be back, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I'm Tim Stone here hanging out in the woods, and I'm so excited to be here with Jim Fuse, my friend. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be here. Jim Fuse, Fusion Marketing, and also Dealcasters Live with my friend Chris Stone. And shout out to Chris Stone, who created that incredible intro video for me and Tim. And he just keeps getting better. He's
Nice.
doing videos for other people. We're gonna have to ask him to do us a new one at some point. But I'm even more excited though because of our guest today. I've gotten to
Me
know
too.
Mark Hayes through networking through Zoom over the last, gosh, I don't know how many months it's been now, Mark.
Oh,
And Mark is
wow.
just an incredible person. He's been in the media for, I think, 30 years. Was, part of, I want to say is Good Day Atlanta. Did I say
Good
that
day,
right, Mark?
Atlanta. Yes, sir. For a
Yeah,
decade.
in the morning, probably before I was awake. And now he's taken his talents where he's got his own business consulting, helping businesses figure out how to get in front of the media. So really excited for the topic today, which is going to be the power of brand storytelling. But before we get into that, Mark, tell us about yourself, because you've got quite an incredible story.
Yeah, you know what? It's an interesting ride. The past 30 years, you made me feel old there. My back started hurting on the intro. But first of all, the energy with you guys, man. I felt like I was on MTV or something with that open. Wow, Stoner really nailed it. I love it. But yeah, so 30 years in TV, in front of the camera, reporting, starting as a one-man band down in Albany, Georgia, way down below the gnat line. That's where the good times happen. I went to the University of Howard University, the Mecca in Washington, D.C. And my plan was to play professional football for 10, 12, 15 years. I don't know, get a gold jacket, go to the Hall of Fame, and then be a sideline broadcaster, right? I had it all planned out.
Yeah.
Problem was, there were about 1,500 other guys who had the same dream, and they were really, really good football players, including the guys who I played with. So, it's funny too. You get to college and you look at the college football teams. Everybody's got all something on their jacket, right? Everybody's good. So I had to switch up. So I always loved telling stories. I always loved the media. My dad and I would pay just as much attention to the interviews during football games as we did to the actual game itself. So I always wanted to be in sports broadcasting, but sports guys don't leave those gigs, right? They die, right? They never leave those jobs. So I took a news gig and never had one regret, and have loved it ever since. I meet some of the most amazing people. And then it was a journey. We started traveling. My wife and I got married in 92, and I told her, I said, we're gonna travel a lot. We're gonna be like professional nomads. And so to help me out, on one of our trips, she did law school in 2.5 years with a newborn and a 6-year-old. So I clearly married way up. I outkicked my coverage on that one.
Yes.
So, but we went to some great cities. We were in Denver when she went to University of Colorado. Baltimore, Detroit, Dallas, Rochester, New York, one of the coldest places I'd ever been. Good gracious,
Yes.
the nicest people you'll ever meet. And of course, Albany, Georgia, and then 10 years here in Atlanta. And now I'm back here in this great city. And, the travels were amazing. I would do it all again, even with all the moving, even with all the uncertainty that is TV news. It is one of the best businesses that you'll ever have if you like people, if you like telling stories, if you like making a difference for your community. Because I'll never forget, we had a family that had their Christmas gifts stolen in Rochester, and we went out and did the story, and you wouldn't believe the flood of gifts that came for that family, and they were able to still have Christmas. And, that's what makes it worth it. I mean, when us TV reporters, we're not getting rich, but, when we could put a smile on somebody's face, man, that would make you feel rich anyway. And the joy that would come over you, the emotion that would come over you, it's almost impossible to describe. So, I met some amazing people, have some great friends from the industry, some of my very best friends. And then I finally decided, I'm tired of getting up, before the crack of dawn, and getting out on snow-covered roads that haven't been plowed yet. So, I started to sleep till a normal hour. Like this morning, I slept till almost 6 a.m. And, I felt bad about it. So it's a nice change for me. I'm finally starting to get in my groove and figure out how to be an entrepreneur. I mean, because there is an art to it, and you have to figure it out. But I found my sweet spot. And so I help businesses get media exposure, figure out, who they are, what their identity is, and how they should best position their stories, right? A lot of us, know we need to be on TV, but we don't know how to get ready. We don't know how to prepare. We don't know how to reach out. So, every major corporation, Tim, as you know, is telling their story through video. Right. It's the way we connect now. Remember, it used to be those 2-page emails, right? We don't send those anymore, right? People will block if you send them a 2-page email and expect them to read that. So, you have to be able to tell your story through video and do it quickly and succinctly and clearly define who you are. So, it's been a great journey. I learned some amazing storytelling tips from some of the very best in the business and some of the shops that I worked at. And, I really am enjoying being able to take those skills that I learned in 30 years of broadcasting and share them with some really nice business owners and entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Well, and I think that actually segues perfectly to Mark into our first question. But before we have Tim ask you the first question, this is kind of funny. You talk about small world. So when I was in the Marine Corps stationed in Jacksonville, Florida at Blunt Island, my higher headquarters was the Marine Corps Logistics Base at Albany, Georgia, in Dougherty County.
Yeah.
And then you going to Howard. I grew up in Springfield, Virginia, so I was just down the road from you. So who knew? And now we both live in Atlanta. So
there you go. Small
who
world.
knows how many times we've crossed paths and didn't even know it. So that's pretty funny.
But we were on the Marine base all the time doing stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because tell me, they had some stories.
Yes. I'll bet. I'll bet.
So Tim, are you ready to ask question number 1?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right.
So why is it important for brands to tell their story anyway?
Well, that's a great question, Tim, because I think, a well thought out, clearly defined brand identity should be the backbone of any successful company, right? Because it's not the widget, right? It's not the Toyota Corolla. It's the feeling that you get when you purchase a Toyota and it's going to start when you crank it, right? It's the feeling that they create behind the products. It's the passion behind it. It's the why behind the widget. And so, but you have to clearly define it. If you don't define it and you leave it ambiguous and leave it, to chance, people won't figure it out because we're too lazy. We're not going to do that kind of work. So when you look at the iconic brands, I mean, Nike, I remember buying my first pair of Nikes. I thought that swoosh was going to give me 6 inches on my vertical. It never happened, but I felt like I could conquer the world with a pair of Nikes or a pair of Adidas. Apple has done an amazing job convincing us that we need the latest, greatest iPhone. If you got the 11, you need the 12, right? And they don't even have to tell us. All they have to do is roll out the commercial and say it's out. And we feel like we need it. Disney, right? Disney, when you see that D and the script writing of the letters Disney, and when the show used to come on, when The Wonderful World of Disney, you thought the magical kingdom was actually magical. until you become an adult and you actually go there and you realize it's not magical. It's $100, right? Everything's $100. So, it's these iconic brands that have done an amazing job, separating themselves from the competition, right? And clearly defining who they are, why they do what they do, and that feeling, that visceral feeling you get, Chick-fil-A is another great example, right? Have you ever had your order messed up at a Chick-fil-A? I don't care where you go, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas. I've never had an order messed up at Chick-fil-A. I've never had cold fries at a Chick-fil-A. It's that consistency. It's that passion. It's that brand integrity. And so once you create that and once you define that, now you're on your way to separating yourself from your competition and from what everybody else is doing. And again, that to me is the key, is being able to say, but for us, you can't get this, right? You can't get this anyplace else. This is what we do. And even though there are other smartphones out there, you buy the iPhone because you feel like, that other phone just doesn't do this, and this, right? And they may do it, but you believe
right.
that iPhone is offering you something special. So you've got to tell your story. You've got to commit to it. You've got to be truthful with who your brand is and what your brand is and what you stand for, because people love authenticity. Right? People can smell a fugazi coming, right? I'm from New York originally. They can smell a fugazi coming, right? A mile away, right? And people can't stand to be sold, right? They want to buy in themselves, right? And if you have to sell me, I kind of feel like I'm on a used car lot, right? And you're pushing me to buy this lemon. And that's not going to work. So the authenticity, the genuineness, it comes through. It comes through. And when you think of, the Oprahs of the world, the Ellens, and you feel like you know them, right? I knew I was pretty good in television when people would walk up to me in the airport or at the Publix or the Kroger and just start talking to me like they knew me. And I would be in full-blown conversations thinking to myself, where do I know this guy from?
Yeah.
He is talking to me like we hung out last week or something, So it's that feeling of familiarity that people get through hearing your story over and over again. My wife hated it, right? She'd be like, you share way too much on TV. Stop talking so much on TV. You don't have to tell people I left the pie out and the dog jumped up on the counter and ate it. You don't have to tell everything. So, it starts out, by defining your story and figuring out who you are, and then being truthful, genuine, and honest with who you are and what you stand for.
Wow. And so Mark, and one, I love that Chick-fil-A thing because you're right. I mean, and one of the things even if they got my order wrong, the fact that they say, it's our pleasure to serve you, just their customer service, they're so, they care about the customer. And
shirts tucked in, everybody's nice and neat. You can read their name tag, right? Bathrooms are clean. The condiments are neatly stacked on the side. The napkins aren't hanging out all over the floor. The trash is not overflowing.
Mhm.
It's a pride of ownership with each.
The only downer is when you decide on a Sunday that you'd like some, they're all closed.
You can only, but it speaks to the brand, right?
Yes.
When you're driving down the highway on a Sunday, you see the Chick-fil-A sign on the traffic sign.
We're
You
going to
can't
start
stop.
today.
Yeah, we're not going to get Chick-fil-A today.
Yeah. Tim, do you guys have Chick-fil-A up there near you?
I've never been to one. I'm not even sure where the closest one is. It's probably at least an hour away because most things are.
So, Mark, you may not know this, but Tim is like a huge Dunkin' Donuts fan. I think if he went to Chick-fil-A, he would become a Chick-fil-A fan. So Tim, once we can get you down here to our part of the world, that's maybe the first place I'll take you. As long as it's not on a Sunday, I'll take you to Chick-fil-A.
Let's
So-
do it. I'm on the way.
So Mark, how you brought up some great examples. So how do, we're smaller businesses, medium sized, but how should we get started with telling our brand story?
It starts with the definition, right? What do we do? Why do we do it? And who do we do it for? Right. And most times it comes out of that transformation process, right? That got you to where you are, that got you to providing the service, that got you to creating the widget, right? What was that reason? What was that passion that got you selling life insurance, if that's what it happens to be, or got you selling the bug spray? Or had you create, this life-changing medical device, and the passion behind it, right? So it starts with defining who you are and why you do what you do. And then it goes from there. We start talking about, the ways to find connecting points with the people who need what you have to offer, and you relate to them. Right? It's like having a conversation anywhere. You can have any kind of conversation anywhere, anytime. But can you have a conversation that connects with people who need to connect with you? Right? And so now you look for those common denominators, those common points that help people understand who you are. I have an amazing client that sells Honduran coffee straight from the coffee farms in Honduras.
Ooh, coffee.
And
You got my attention.
yeah, there you go. Right? Because who doesn't love coffee, right? And well, there are those.
There are those that just don't know any better, but yes,
Right.
we forgive them.
But their story is that dad came over from Honduras at age 11, couldn't speak a lick of English, became super successful. He was a veteran, corporate America superstar, retired in his early 40s, and then decided to give back, right? And you don't see a lot of times where people who are so super successful that they decide to go and do work like farming on a coffee farm. Right? I don't know if you guys knew this, but you have to pick the cherries off the tree one at a time when it comes to coffee. That's hard work. And so here is a guy who decides to give back because he just feels it in his heart. And when you talk to him, you can just feel his passion. And you wouldn't know if you just walked up to him and you saw him in his t-shirt, jeans, and sneaks, you wouldn't know how uber successful he's been. But you talk to him and you find out how smart he is, then you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's special. But, he has that ability to connect with the common man over a cup of coffee, right? With the everyday guy over a cup of coffee. And, I'll pay, the extra $5-10 for his brand of coffee because I believe in what he stands for, because I know he believes in it. And he's making a difference. So I want to support his ability to make a difference. And we've clearly told that story. And we just had them featured on CBS News 2 weekends ago. National news.
Congrats.
And yeah, it was, thank you. And, the story, I've gotten so much amazed. They were like, wow, this family is amazing. They're 4th and 5th generation coffee farmers. And they're like, this family is amazing. And they're like, what's the website again? And people want to buy, right? Not because they think it's the most amazing coffee ever, right? You can go to Dunkin' Donuts, right? And get Dunkin' Donuts coffee brand right here in Kroger, right? You can go to right around the corner to Einstein Bagels and get a cup of coffee, but they're willing to support the story behind the story, right? Because it compels it. It pulls you in and it connects you to this family. And, they're living the American dream and giving back too. And, it doesn't get much better than that. And that's how we started, working together. I said, your story is phenomenal. I could sit here and listen to you all day. And he said, Mark, we should probably be working together. I said, you're absolutely right. We should be working together. And so we started framing, they've gotten so like it's hardly even work pitching them to media outlets, right? Because you start telling them the story and people are like, wait a minute, really? When can I talk to them? So, once you sit down and define who you are, what you believe in, what you stand for, what your journey has been, and you're willing to share. You got to be willing to share. Sometimes we share our warts, and it endears us to people, right? People like imperfection, right? Because
Yes.
people that come across as perfect, we look at them and say, "Oh my goodness, are you really that perfect? I'll pass." Right? So we like imperfection, and it's okay to be an imperfect human. So that's the key, is to be willing to be vulnerable, to share your story, in order to connect. Because there are other people going through stuff too. There are other immigrants that are probably drawing on inspiration from this family story. So it really does matter, when you look for those connecting points, how to connect to those people that you most are excited about serving.
Mark, and it's funny too, because I think a lot of times, to your point, they probably think, oh, but we're just selling coffee. And I think sometimes, I know I struggle with this, Tim. I don't know if you do as well. It's like, who
Mhm.
really wants to hear my story? Why is my story important? I'm just doing the best I can. And I think that's where I think a lot of us really struggle.
Well, it's true. And you were going to say something, Tim? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just
Yeah.
going to say that over the last month, I've shared in December, I'll be celebrating surviving 15 years with leukemia. And I had never told that story before. But over the last month, with National Cancer Survivor Day, and Nancy Barrows, who's in the comments here, created a movement called Radiating Real, showing up as you are on social media, without the filters and the perfect look and all the things. And then I've been struggling with health issues, with chronic migraines, and I've been showing up every day telling my story, what's been going on with it. And I have never gotten so many messages of prayers and love, and people sharing their stories and saying, thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that as an example of, like you were talking about, vulnerability and, and that kind of thing, showing up, as, like, we all go through struggles and different things
Yep.
that we all relate to, right?
And I think that one of the things we need to keep in focus is that there is power in pain, right? When we've
Yes.
been through struggles, right, there is power in that pain, especially when you decide to share it and lift up others. And because people can relate to it. People, when people see that you are a human being and you're willing to share, those deepest, darkest moments. When you look at television and you look at, folks that are willing to share those innermost secrets, those are the highest rated, interviews.
Yes.
I'll never forget one of the first times I publicly spoke about my son's incarceration. My oldest son happens to be in a Georgia prison, and I spoke to an audience of about 750,000 people about his incarceration. I couldn't get out of the conference room because I had a line of people, moms and dads, sharing their stories with me and thanking me for giving them the power to move forward and to embrace what was going on with them. Right? I found the power in our pain. Right. And I'm willing to share that so another family doesn't have to go through that same struggle. And it's the same in our business pursuits. Right. We find the power in the pain and the pain point that we work with and we fix and we find solutions for, and we share it. And when people feel like that you're an honest broker, and you, that's how you win them over. And and getting them, to the point where they want to share their journey is sometimes the struggle, right? I work with folks who I'm like, man, I want you to share this story. Be you, be who you are, be authentic. Find that authenticity about yourself, and don't hide it. You don't have to hide anything, right? You really don't. Just embrace who you are. And it's hard for some of us. Like, some of our struggles are more difficult than others, but it's not anything else that somebody else out here is not going through. We got 2.3 million people incarcerated in this country. That's 4.6 million parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with the same struggle, right? I want to share my story so we don't have more added to that same number. I want to empower people. I want to share, the issues that we had, so that somebody else can look out for those same warning signs and say, wow, I remember Mark talking about this. Maybe we should intercede here. Maybe we should try to get some professional help, and maybe we keep one family from going through. Maybe we keep 100 families from going through it. So, that's my goal, is how many families can I touch? How many lives can I help? And
it reminds me of the story of the person throwing the starfish back in the sea. It's like, well, why are you doing that, right? Well, even if you just help that one starfish, you've made a difference. If you save that one family from the pain that you've gone through, Mark, or Tim, the pain you've been going through, that is so powerful, right? Because that one is going to multiply into others, and it's a domino effect. And I think sometimes we take that for granted, like, oh, how can I make a difference? Well, making that difference for one person even is, to me, is priceless.
Well, and that same ripple effect is what happens with your business, right? Because you have success with one person and they tell someone else, and now they want to work with you, right? And so that social proof, that proof of performance, gets passed along. And next thing you know, you got a blossoming business, and people ringing your phone because they heard about the difference that you made. And so it's the same concept, whether it's the pain or whether it's, a monetary success that someone has had with their business because of a fix that you provided. It's that ripple effect, that helps you elevate your brand.
Yeah. And Nancy, powerful little thought there, and wants to thank you, Mark, for leading by example, in which I couldn't agree more.
Nancy.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, and our friend Stefan, he's doing a lot to help people as well. And so I think Tim, I think maybe we should take a moment for a word from our sponsor, StreamYard. I mean, this is an amazing conversation we got going. So we're going to come back on the other side of this, and we will have another question for Mark, if Mark will stick around for a few more minutes.
Absolutely.
All right. Doing the Tim.
And we're back. Tim. We're doing the Tim dance. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tim and Jim Show. We're here with Mark Hayes talking about the power of dancing. No, the power of brand storytelling.
That's probably a story in and of itself. We'll have to have that as a
you guys don't want me dancing on camera.
That is a story. But thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Russ Hedge. Thank you, D. Scott Smith. Thank you, Gail Robertson, and so many others for being here. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today. So, Jim, where do we go from here?
We've got our third question of the day. Tim, why don't you take that?
Sure. So, Mark, how do we get in front of the media with our story?
That's a great question, because people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, well, who do you know? Do you know anybody in the media? Oh, you don't? Oh, how about this little thing called social media? Reach out to people before you need them. Don't reach out to them and say, hey, tomorrow I got this amazing story. Can you come out and cover it? Who are you? Right? As journalists, there is not one journalist out here that's not feeding a beast, right? They all need great stories. They all need to produce, right? And they need your help to do it. You have to remember that. So if you reach out ahead of time, say, hey, Jim, I follow your column, really enjoyed, the things that you write, the stories you report on. Would love to meet with you or chat with you, do a quick phone call or Zoom. Zoom is making everybody's life easier. Hey, can I get 15 minutes on Zoom just to talk about, stories that you're looking for, the things that you cover? right? Create a relationship, start a conversation, right? Do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Next thing you know, you've got a nice little network of journalists. And now, a month out from when you're about to launch your new widget campaign, you softly let it out, right? You float it out and you start reaching out. Hey, this is what we got going. And you identify the media outlets that are most closely aligned with what you do, right? We're not going to go and pitch a cooking show or a great recipe for cheeseburgers to the Golf Channel, right?
Right.
It's all about golf, right? They don't want to hear about cheeseburgers. You're not going to pitch them with your new recipe, right? So you got to be aligned, and it's funny too because people will just start throwing pitches anywhere, right? And just sending them out just for the sake of, oh, I'm pitching this outlet, but they're not interested in what you're doing. Right. So if you're in the tech space, pitch the tech magazines, pitch the tech shows. If you're in the financial space, because remember now, guys, there's a network for everything, right? I mean,
Right.
there's a network for just about every topic. There's a magazine, there's a blog, there's a podcast for just about every single topic you can imagine. And so, figure out where your sweet spot is and who covers that sweet spot. Right. And then start reaching out to those people, because that's how you're going to get, the attention of people who really care. You know how many pitches end up, in TV newsroom waste bins on people's computers, because they're just not relevant. Right. And so
Yeah.
you have to put a little forethought into it, and you have to have a plan, right? Have a strategy to pitch, and make your pitch count, right? If you're pitching a television news outlet, right, you've got to have some visuals, right? And in your pitch, explain to them what you can show and tell. To keep it short, keep it simple, and make sure you're sending it to the right people. Don't just send it into a black hole, right? Don't send it to staff at WXIA11.com, right? Send it to, the assignment editor. Find out who those people are. Pick up the phone and say, hey, who do I send my story pitches to? You have a name for me? You have an email address, right? Don't just fax stuff into a newsroom. Like a fax machine still exists. Like somebody's going to get that. I actually had a client 2 years ago that was faxing stuff.
Oh.
I said, who do you think's getting that?
The fax machine.
Right.
That's like people still, I can't believe there's still people that make us use fax machines whenever you need to fax something. Like, what?
Right. We can't scan and send. We don't, you guys don't do that. So, there is a method to the madness. And the people who understand it and take the time out, will get results. And but it's not going to be one of those things where you wake up Tuesday morning and say, hey, yeah, I think I need some media coverage. Let me try to get it for this afternoon. It's probably not going to happen, unless your brother-in-law works for a TV station. All right. So unless you're lucky like that, you're going to need a strategy. Right. And and I talk about the strategy in my course too. My public relations for small business course, which is on Udemy. It's really, really value priced at under $200. And it's a comprehensive course where I walk you through this stuff, walk you through the pitches, walk you through how to reach out, walk you through, what elements that you should be providing. We talk a little bit about timelines, right? Again, you don't want to start a week away. Right? You want to start a month in advance if you've got an event happening and you want media coverage. So that gives you your best chance at success. And, because we're not sitting around, waiting for you to scream fire, right? Because we don't know if that's going to happen. We're looking ahead of time so we can put stuff on the calendar. So, you got to be proactive. And my course, I hate to toot my own horn, but it's pretty comprehensive, and it's a great value for small businesses. At under $200, you get a lot of good information in there that will help you go a long way. Like our little coffee company, which is no small operation, but we've gotten some incredible mileage from our media exposure.
That's amazing. And we've shared that in the comments on all the platforms if you're watching us, whether it's on YouTube or whether you're watching us on LinkedIn. So make sure you guys check that out. Mark, I guess too, what I'm curious about, and because especially like, Tim is in, Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm here in the Atlanta area. So even that, like Tim's kind of in a small town area.
Mhm.
I'm in I guess I was listening last night, I think we're the ninth largest city in the country when it comes to, is covered in that. So
Yep.
do you start with like your local newspaper, or does it kind of go back to it depends? And then are some of these formats still viable? I guess that would be the other question.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because you got to go where the eyeballs are, right? And if your local outlet, if your local newspaper, your Atlanta Journal Constitution, or your Erie newspaper is getting a lot of eyeballs, definitely reach out to them, right? Because you got to remember, who's your audience, right? Is my audience living here? Are they coming to this particular place to get information about what I might be doing? If so, by all means reach out. And that's part of the strategy, right? It's like, which outlets give me the best chance to connect with my ideal client, or my ideal customers. And so even in a big city like Atlanta, we got a real small town feel here. So you'll see a lot of stories, about local entrepreneurs and about local businesses. And those stories go a long, long way. I'll never forget, like a Good Day Atlanta, we featured Mama's Pizza up in Alpharetta, one of my favorite pizza shops in the whole wide world, New York included. And he happens to be a New Yorker. But it was, the fact that he reached out to us and said, hey, we are doing, something special here. And he had his whole little network, and it was those are the best kinds of stories, because you get to talk to people, in a neighborhood, and it makes you feel like part of the community. And those are special kinds of stories. So, if you're in a big city, don't be afraid of reaching out to the media because you think they won't come, right? Reach out to the right kinds of media. Like, I might not, if I'm in Los Angeles, I may not reach out to KABC, but I might reach out to KCAL because they got a morning show, and in the 10 to 11 o'clock hour, they've got to feed that beast, and they oftentimes do feature brand new bakeries or feature brand new, cookie shops with a twist. So, look for the right vehicle to find the way to connect to your audience. Don't be overwhelmed by market size, because the bigger the market, the more opportunities there are for you to find vehicles that you can get those touch points for the people you're looking to connect with. And that's what it all comes down to. If you get on KABC and your people aren't there, what difference does it make, right? If their viewership is not who you want to serve, then it doesn't matter, right? But if you get on KCAL because they've got the people, like small business owners, are watching that fourth hour of their show, now you're cooking with grease, because you're connecting with the people who you want to see and hear about your widget.
That makes so much sense. And I think too, I could see where this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. So as an example, I know recently we had like mental health month. And so really you needed to be building that relationship before mental health month, not during, if you have a story to tell, or all these different months where there's things that are kind of highlighted. Like if you're in e-commerce, right? I don't know, Mark, you may know the answer to this. What's the month you start talking about the upcoming, because before you know it, right, we'll be talking about Christmas sales and what you should be buying for Christmas. So is that in September? Is that because you don't, by November it's probably too late.
Exactly, because everybody's rushing, right? And to get their story on, right? About their famous turkey recipe, right? But if you've got a relationship that you've been fostering for 3 months, now who am I going to call, right? Because remember, I want to trust the person on the other end of that phone. right? I want to trust that they have the video they said they were going to have, the story they said they were going to have. They're going to come through for me. And I know because we've been following up and he's been providing me streams of information that I'm probably going to hit pay dirt when I come and talk to Jim, because he's been following up. He's been sending me information. I know what he has. I know what elements I'm going to get when I get there. And that's what I want. I can build a good, solid, journalistically sound story on that I can sell and promote, around our theme. So if you think thematically, and then start out in advance, right? And then think back. And, that's the way to do it. Like, don't start pitching Christmas stuff, right? December 1st. Right? Because we've got guests booked already. A Good Day Atlanta, we've got guests booked. Now, if you've got something that's happening in early January, you might think about that week right after Christmas. And at the end of November, say, hey, I know it's a little slow for you guys the week after Christmas, right? Everybody's on vacation, right? Things are a little slow. It's a great time, to look at the calendar and say, where are the lulls? Where are these folks going to have holes that they need to fill, right? And so look at it that way too, right? Because those are great opportunities for you to get on, do a cooking segment or something. What do I do with those leftovers, right? Everybody wants to be on before the holiday. Do you have a great idea right after when they're going to be spots to fill? So think about it in that way too, because those are really exciting opportunities for you. And once you get those opportunities, you build off them. Right? You get on Fox 5 or you get on Good Day Atlanta. Now you can send that to the Today Show. Hey, I've been featured in Atlanta. Right? That's part of your pitch now, right? It's part of your media kit. And so when you put that together with the story, right? Your brand story, the why behind what you do, and the feature on Good Day Atlanta, now you send it to the Today Show. Next thing you know, you're national, you're global. Wow. And so it's a building process. Right. And don't sell yourself short. It's okay to toot your own horn. I saw that in the comments. Right. It is okay. Right. To because that's the game now. Right. Because if we don't tell our story, who will?
Right.
So true.
And Gail just said earned media is the best. And
by far. That third party validation is worth its weight in gold. It's worth its weight in gold.
Because, every once in a while, Mark, and I don't know, Tim, if you've ever seen this, you'll have like these businesses that'll be like, or like, oh, if you'd like to be on, this show or whatever, we will, promote but they want you to pay to play. Right. And I've always been like, if I'm paying for it, it just doesn't seem right.
Right. And you'll notice that those shows typically don't have very high viewership, right? Because people know that you paid to be on there. Right. So if I'm going to pay to go on, I'm going to stack the deck and make sure that I look as good as I possibly can. I'm going to send a list of questions to the interviewer. Hey, ask me these questions, okay? Because I paid to be on this segment. And those are the questions you're going to get. That's not earned, right? That's not the kind of validation that people are looking for. Like, people want to know when we do a news story that we vetted this company. You can take us at our word. Like, we're not going to feed you a bunch of BS. That's why that whole fake news phenomenon is so maddening to people who work in the media, right? Yes. We're not running around here. We don't have a meeting and say, we're going to make up this story tonight about the space aliens that, landed at Chastain Park and kidnapped the world famous singer. It is such a slight, and a big backhand slap to the face of a journalist to say, did you guys make that up? I had one of my very best friends ask me that question. I said, you know what? I may not talk to you for the rest of our lives. Do we make that up? I was like, are you kidding? I was like, are you kidding? Like, you're an intelligent guy. You're going to ask. I said, you see a line of lawyers outside our TV station? Because if we were making it up and we were fabricating stuff, there would be a line of lawyers around the block, all waiting for their chance to sue us and get an easy payday.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been amazing, Mark. I just shared at the bottom there Mark's website and his Instagram. Also in the comments, you'll find his LinkedIn if you guys want to follow or connect with him over there. Here's Mark's course. I mean, Mark, what are you working on next?
So I am actually getting ready to launch another course. I'm creating a course for as I mentioned, my oldest son. I'm creating a course for parents to help them communicate more effectively with their teenage athletes and soon-to-be college athletes. I'm really excited about that.
Awesome.
The program is almost ready. Putting my website together, putting the finishing touches on the course, and doing the research. And I spent a lot of time during my career interviewing people and talking to people and having honest and frank conversations anywhere, anytime, about any subject. And I think that had my son and I and our family had better communication, because his issues didn't start until he cut us off. When he cut off the line of communication, that's when everything went down the rabbit hole. So if I can teach parents how to communicate and connect more effectively with their kids, they can have more meaningful relationships. And for athletes, they can enjoy the experience, right? We know what it's like to see these parents in the stands screaming and yelling at their kids, right? No, that's not the way to motivate them. Support them. And that will motivate them, lift them up when they're having a bad day. While I have, one son that's incarcerated, the other is a professional hockey player. So he's going to be playing for the Atlanta Gladiators this year. He works harder than anybody I know, and he deserves every opportunity he gets because he just grinds. So, I have these two, polar opposite results. Right. And I want to share those stories with parents of athletes, teen and college athletes, where they're most impressionable. So they can take away some of these tips and skills on how to connect with your kids. Because I know how to do it. Right. I had one that wouldn't let me do it, and we saw his result. One that let me do it, and we saw his results. And so, when you understand what they need and how best to support them, man, the sky's the limit for them. So that's my next project. I'm feverishly working on that. My consulting business is just blossoming. I'm working with a company called Real Times Media out of Detroit. And we are making an aggressive transition from print to digital and video. And we're creating new platforms. We have 15 newspapers around the country. We have Blue and Black Women of Excellence. It is a Black excellence platform surrounded by Black media and marketing companies. And it is really an exciting time. So I've been incredibly busy, sleeping with one eye open, popping up in the middle of the night, writing ideas down as they come to me. And just enjoying that I'm finally getting into the groove as an entrepreneur. Because I'll tell you what, when I left TV news at the beginning of 2018, I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how my skills were going to transfer. And now here we are, 2 years, 3 years later. I've got a business. You see my lights are on. The wife is happy. We got food in the cupboard, so I'm starting to figure it out. So I'm finally able to help that awesome woman, who's carried me around all these years and supported me, and who gave me the opportunity to pursue my entrepreneurial dream. So yeah, it's a busy time here. And you hardly ever see me without my laptop open typing away. So it's exciting. It's fun. And again, I'm still meeting great people like Tim and Jim. Right. So I'm finding time to do that as well. So, and sleeping to a normal hour, if you want to call that a normal hour.
That is awesome. And I love what you're doing, Mark. You're definitely, you've kind of like you said, you've become that entrepreneur, but it's more than that. You're helping other people. And I think for me, and I think you seem similar, I know Tim is as well, as for us being a small business owner and entrepreneur is about helping other people. And it's kind of like, if you want to call it the money will come. Yeah. It's kind of like if you help others, it kind of comes full circle. It's not about like, oh, how much money can I make? And
Right.
So I think that's, making a difference and helping others succeed, I think is so important. Tim, what do you got coming up here in the near future?
Thanks for asking, Jim. Next Monday, I have a workshop called How to Plan In-Person Events Again. It's going to be in person here nearby in Hohenstale, Pennsylvania, but there's also a live streamed option as well. And Nancy Barrows, who is in the comments here, is actually going to be helping out with the live stream component. So you guys who join us virtually will get just as much attention as those in person. Feel just as welcome, get all your questions answered. So that is, yes, that's the link right there, bit.ly/events again. So that's next Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then also I'm going to be starting another round of my live streaming course for those of you who want to launch your own live show in just 6 weeks. Definitely encourage you to sign up for Survive and Rise with Live Video. This is going to be I think the 5th round of this that I've offered. I started it after the pandemic started, and we have such amazing people who joined from all around the world to join together and launch your own live shows, but also just get to know each other better and network and meet amazing people from around the world as well. So there's those 2 things. And then also just one more thing, through this whole journey of sharing my story with chronic pain, myself and Nancy Barrows I have started a Facebook group called Thriving with Chronic Pain. And it's a place for all of us to get together who live and survive with chronic pain every day, and just to get to know each other better, share our stories, and support each other any way that we can. So if you're interested in learning about that, just send me a direct message, and would love to connect with you. That's all I have, Jim. What do you have?
Well, I don't know that I have quite as much, but I will say one of the big things is, as you know, we've talked about, is Chris and I have a deal with name.com where you can get your own .live for $1.99 by just going to name.com/live. We now have timandjim.live, dealcasters.live. And so the power of that is you're able to redirect people where you want them to go. So as an example, Mark, you might want to get marquestv.live and send people to whether it's your YouTube channel, maybe your most recent live stream, because I know you do that, and you can change it up. So, maybe you're not ready to build out a website, but you want people to see your live content. So, it's less than a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. Why wouldn't you do it?
Much less.
Yeah. So, or Starbucks. I know that'll make Tim cringe, but yeah. So real busy with that. Got some exciting stuff coming up. I'm also very excited for our guest next week. We will have Deb Mitchell, the community manager for Agora Pulse. So we'll be talking about how you can build community. She's done an amazing job with them. I've known Deb for a few years now, worked with her at Social Media Marketing World. She was in charge of all the blue shirts, as we called it. We were the people that would go make sure everybody was finding the places they had to go. And a lot of fun that Deb's out of, she's in Napa Valley. I've always said when she came to San Diego, she needed to bring wine, but she always made some excuse about she couldn't bring it or something. But so that's going to be exciting. But Mark, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And I can tell you by seeing the number of people that stuck around, you definitely resonated with the audience. So thanks again. And maybe if you want, we'd love to have you back again sometime. We can maybe dig into another topic a little bit deeper.
Absolutely. Would love to. You guys were awesome.
Thanks.
Take this thing on the road.
Yeah. Well, we will, and we'll be in Lima, Ohio in August. There'll be we'll have to do a road show, so that'll be interesting. Yes. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you all next week. Next on the same bat channel, as they say. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.